is that part of the program where I'm now going to be joined by my analysts that will help break down all you've heard on the program. And tonight I'm being joined for the rest of the program by Arise News analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper, Mahmud Jega. Thank you so much, Mahmud.
Thank you.
And some of my viewers may not recognize you because you're wearing a cap differently today. All right, talk to us about this electoral body, INEC. I mean, you've witnessed several elections. You've covered elections right from the days of Deku and way up until now. Can you say that when we have rerun elections like this, that we see more improvements compared to the general elections? And what exactly is responsible, like the INEC spokesman had said?
Well, obviously, the rerun elections, we had only 5% of all the constituencies in the country. Now, that obviously is an opportunity for the electoral body, you know, to get the logistics better and also for the security agencies. Because when you have a general election, each police commissioner in a state is on his own, really. Nobody can come to the aid of another person. But if you have like these elections in only 5% of the constituencies, the IG and the police high command would be able to say, okay, these are the trouble spots, let's go there and all that. So you always expect an improvement. But still you don't get perfection. And that is not because of INEC. Possibly, as the civil society man said, you know, some failures of the security agencies. But probably there is a limit to what anybody can do when the politicians are so desperate to get around all the rules, and despite every effort, sabotage comes in. Like you are talking to me about why there should be violence, you know, when it does not benefit the man who is
snatching.
Well, there is a reason. You know, politicians have their own ways. If I am contesting election against you, I will say you are likely to win by a wide margin in so-so polling unit, maybe because it is your home territory or someone, and I can send thugs to disrupt election in that polling unit, not for me to gain, but to rob you of the votes that you will get from there. Provided you don't do it too recklessly, because if you disrupt the election in too many units, it may lead to an inconclusive election.
So be careful.
But if you are careful, if you do it carefully, just disrupt in a few selected places where I know you are very strong as a candidate, then when the tally is made, I may be ahead of you, I may be declared the winner. Politicians have all kinds of crooked calculations that they are doing in election matters. That is why even when it is these small supplementary elections, you still have all kinds of problems because people are desperate to win.
Yeah, and then talk to us about how voters turned out in a particular polling unit in Jos and then in Enugu. Only for the electoral officer to say there are no result sheets. So what was the essence of him coming to the polling unit?
Well, as the chief press secretary to the INEC chairman said, the matter is being investigated because there could be 1,001 reasons why this will happen. Sometimes you suspect sabotage on the part of the electoral officer himself, because otherwise, if it is time to open the polling booth and he knows that he does not have result sheets, he should have immediately alerted the higher authorities in the Electoral Commission. If he does not do that, then he is the first suspect. Or if somebody snatched the ballot, the papers along the way, he should have reported that. Or if the driver who was commissioned under the road transport workers to deliver it in the morning, for some reason didn't come, or he took it to the house of some politicians, then you expect the electoral officer to have raised alarm much earlier. But if he just sits there and people come in hundreds or in thousands and he say, well, we don't have a result sheet, then he is the first suspect.
Yeah, some Nigerians didn't take it lightly. Actually, they had to start beating some of the electoral officers, including one who came with pre-filled result sheets. How do you explain such, actually?
I remember back in the Second Republic, I was a very young man. I came to vote, And I knew that my name was number 8 on the register, so it was on the first page. And when I came, the officer just flipped several pages looking for a name and said, okay, come, and because all the votes had been cast. But since then, I think things have improved because now, of course, there is Beavers, which has to accredit you. You can't just write figures the way you like, but there are still problems, unfortunately.
Well, very interesting times ahead. And then you talk about the issues of the results coming out. We've seen, for example, in Jos, I mean, PDP being said not to be allowed to run, like Oyekomi had explained. And then all of a sudden, it directs its supporters to move to ADP. And all of a sudden, it looks like there was a renewal of the Jang and I mean, a long fight in Jos, and of course, you could see PDP and APC fighting a proxy war through ADP this time around.
Even the high turnout of voters in Jos North was due to these local factors. You know, in some other places where the issues were not very strong, you find there was a low turnout of voters. But because of this conflict between major political actors in Jos North, you see there was massive mobilization of supporters. But this trick is legal, as he said, and has been done before. I remember, I think it was in the 2007 election, when the PDP candidate in Imo State, I think it was Engineer Charles Ugu, who was disqualified. So the PDP ordered all its supporters to vote for the PPP candidate. PPA, exactly, to vote for the PPA candidate. That's so no, that's Ikedi or Hakim in Imo State.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Orji was in Abia.
Yes.
Obviously, there was an underground understanding that when he is elected, he will come to PDP, because that was what happened. Yes. So don't be surprised. This man that won in Jos, don't be surprised tomorrow to see him in the government house declaring for PDP. But that is okay. It's part of political tricks.
Yeah, political engineering. Yeah. And then what's your view actually on INEC's interpretation that actually left PDP out of that election? Because people were saying that, look, the Supreme Court gave one judgment. They thought the INEC would go with that, while the INEC said it was still sticking to the outcome of the Court of Appeal.
I think the Electoral Commission was absolutely right. Under the current law, cases arising from assembly elections terminate at the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal nullified the election of the winners, who were mostly PDP, on the basis that they were wrongly nominated because they did not do the correct primaries. And it's on that basis that it ordered the rerun elections, which INEC was running. Now, if the court nullified an election because it said you are not properly nominated, then obviously, even in the rerun election, you cannot be a candidate. Of course, the whole country was interested in what happened in Plateau because the Supreme Court allowed the gubernatorial election, even though the governor went through the same nomination process. But unfortunately for now, I had one son say there is no way to resolve the matter for now.
Well, as we try to round off this conversation, I also need to seek your view on APC's outing during this election. People are thought that with the economic turmoil and all of that, and what opposition parties are saying, that APC may nearly lose all the seats. But out of 3 senatorial seats, APC won 2. That's Yobe and Ebonyi, and then of course Plateau ADP got, and then of course the constituency, including Bajabi Amila's constituency, where people were afraid. Yeah, I mean APC won because people thought that as the chief of staff, maybe people will send a message to President Tinubu through the chief of staff. But I mean, surprisingly, APC won.
In Nigerian elections, the most important thing usually is the political structures. So when a party controls the state government and some local governments, now honestly they have got all kinds of political advantage. And you are talking, I'm not accusing anybody, but you are talking about vote buying. And usually those in authority have more resources than others. I'm not accusing anybody. I didn't say anybody bought votes. But this explains. So what your expectation that, okay, people are unhappy with the value of naira or the cost of fuel, and they will vote massively against PDP. No. The local party structures have their own way of getting people to vote for them.
Well, I'm very sure the Labour Party will learn from this, because they keep saying that they're a structureless party. So that means there's an advantage to having structures.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, we must thank you so much, Mahmud Jega, for helping us to understand all the issues. Mahmud Jega is a Arise analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper. Thank you so much once again. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of Arise Primetime. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja, Lagos and London. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sumner Sambo.